terms of the improvement of Brendan Hymas from maybe the start of the year in September to now where we're at in November?
Confidence, strength, just, he's a kid that's a competitive kid. And, early in the season, I had a little bit of a call-out session to him. And it was like, hey, you came here to do a job and, you have the abilities and the tools to do it naturally. So why not? Why aren't you doing it? And I'm not saying that why aren't you doing it like he's just intentionally not doing it. It was just his consistency. And so he's been more consistent. If I can say one thing about him, he's been way more consistent with his assignment, his eye discipline, his set lines, and his athleticism speaks for itself. But he's developed into a pretty good player.
How difficult is it to know when you have to kind of have that conversation with a guy or to kind of call him out on it?
It's a case by case deal.
Right.
Golly, man, it's that's coaching. To be honest with you, it's kind of getting a feel for where the guys are mentally, getting a feel for how much you can put on them schematically, and even put on them emotionally. And that was, I always say it, man. In order for you to correct the guy, you got to first connect with him. And over the course of the spring and even fall, it's just been kind of that connection, with not only me but other coaches in the room and on the staff. And as he's been more comfortable with us, now we can really, dig into him, so to speak. And everything is constructive criticism, but it's more of all right, hey, the buck stops here. Let's get this stuff done.
Was that after the Michigan game?
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
And then basically from that point forward, you've kind of seen him.
Yeah, I've seen him ascend. So.
You look at this Illinois defensive front, what kind of jumps out to you about that?
They're big. They're quick. They hold their gaps. They have some movement patterns. They're playing better as of late. They have a new defensive coordinator that puts more guys on the line of scrimmage. So they're going to take us off of some of our double team blocks. Certainly we have our work cut out for us, and I've been stressing to the guys it's a man with a man game. So know your matchup and destroy your matchup.
How does that affect the way you prepare and kind of scout a team when they have kind of that mid-season coaching game?
It changes from a standpoint of numbers and metrics and tendencies, so to speak. In different situations like third down and first and second down, what are they doing? What is their personality now? Because everybody has a different vision as to what they think it should look like. So now, with Hardy Nickerson, stepping down and somebody else calling it, now you can take some of the games that we have in the system, and count those games, but you always have to count the games where the guy that you're really going to be calling against. That's more of the information that you have to use. So there's certainly a difference in philosophy, and we have to make sure that we respect what they have in terms of, the old coordinator. You're looking at that more of a personnel from a personnel standpoint, but then schematically and call-wise, you have to take more into account with a new coordinator. It is tough. It's tough, and some of it's going to be coaching as the game goes on. A lot of it's going to be coaching as the game goes on. With one game under their belt with a new coordinator, they're just going to expand on the packages that they have and, add in a couple of wrinkles here, there, wherever. So there's going to be a little bit of an unknown and a little bit of a guess game, but, those games that are fun.
You like that?
Yeah. This past game was fun. Honestly, it was a chess match. They got Ohio State, good players. Good scheme. They changed up from going. They had a lot of mugs beforehand, so we had to certainly prepare and respect that. They didn't do any of that this game. They ran some new patterns, some new movement, defensive line movement patterns. So you have to come to the sideline and really dig down on really teach some of that stuff that they're doing as in-game adjustments. Those are the things that make the game fun. Obviously winning is the ultimate goal in doing all of that. But But it was kind of cool coming to the sideline and getting those guys coached up as to what they're doing and the adjustments that we have to make for it.
And they did a good job of that, I take it?
And they did a pretty good job. They did a pretty good job handling it. And those are the things that we're stressing as we move forward. Is these guys are cerebral. These guys know enough about the game plan and know enough about the plays that they're running conceptually to make to make the adjustments. To make the footwork adjustments. How they're handling the backside of zone read. That was the biggest thing this past week is they changed up how they were handling it. I'm not going to get too much into the coaching of it, but we had to make adjustments on the sideline as to what we were going to do. They had a new blitz pattern that we hadn't seen.
Were those adjustments what you liked most out of that game from your group, or what did you?
Yeah, just the overall adjustments and those guys being able to catch up to them so quick. Sometimes it takes a couple series, and certainly in some portion of that game it took a series or two for us to adjust to it. But then once we got it, then the guys got it.
Is there anybody in particular that handles that the best, or that you lean on to handle?
No. I talk to the guys as equal as anybody. Now I expect Tanner or our centers, Cole and Tanner, for those guys to get it sooner because they're the ones that have to make the initial calls certainly, and they have to set the front and everything else. So those guys, I talk to those guys before I talk to anybody else.
How is Tanner in that regard?
He's good, and he's getting better. And it's a work in progress, just like it'll always be.